Do you want to take control of your life and create the future you've been dreaming of? Are you ready to make a change, but unsure how or where to start? Then don't go anywhere. Through stories, advice, and lessons learned, we will share with you our experiences of failing forward, letting go of fear, and following our passions. Join me as we explore the power of failure and how it merely is a stepping stone to success. It's time to listen, learn, transform your life. Yay! I'm so excited to have Natalie Burt on with me today on the Fail Forward With Me podcast. I'm so excited because, number one, you've inspired me the moment that I met you in Seaside. I was like, the house, okay, big check mark. This is beautiful. The spread of deliciousness, and obviously the content in your story, and you guys are a power couple and just amazing. So tell us a little bit about yourself. You can talk about being your independent woman, your mom life, wife life. Yeah.
First of all, thank you for having me. Okay, so my name is Natalie Burt. I'm 42. I have my husband, Michael, and I have 3 kids. We have a 10-year-old, a 2.5-year-old son, and a 5-month-old daughter.
And they're all freaking adorable.
Yes, they are. So anyway, we went through a long period of not being able to get pregnant again, and I can get into that another time if we need to. But we run a coaching business where mainly my husband does the coaching. He was a championship women's basketball coach turned business coach. And so we have 2 properties, one in Florida that you spoke of. The other one is a lodge in Tennessee, where we do coaching, training, all of those things. My role is I'm in charge of the design of all of our properties, and I have the spiritual gift of hospitality. So
yes, we do.
I believe is included in the design of the property. So you feel a certain way when you come in, all the way down to what you eat.
And how you feel when you leave.
And how you feel when you leave. So all of those things, a lot of it is behind the scenes that no one sees, but you can feel it. So,
And you can taste it, which is amazing.
That's right.
So today I would love to chat with you about motherhood and how to thrive on a personal level, even as a mom, because I think a lot of us moms don't believe thriving personally is really doable. When we wear the mom hat, I think you're a great example of this, and we could probably both enlighten women on how to thrive as a woman and mother and wife. I don't know about you, but as a mom of 2, I find it very difficult to put myself first. I always have. I've always focused on them, their needs, everything, for me usually goes on the wayside. Right down to I make them breakfast and then I don't make myself breakfast. And then I'm making sure that they're gone and out the door and that kind of thing. So would you say that you have that mentality? Like, have you been able to, have you put yourself first and known that that's the important part? Or, has it been a learning experience for you? Because, I guess it's not even a rule. Like, everybody says that you should put yourself first, and that's what they say when you're on the plane, right?
That's not easy, though.
Mask on, yeah.
That's not, well, let's just talk. First off, motherhood is very hard. Okay. It is one of the best things I have ever done. Also very challenging, still is.
And will probably always will be.
Always be. My mom always said, you're a mother until the day you die. Like, you just that never goes away.
Yep.
So I did have my first child when I was 30. So I think that to me was, it it was a little bit easier for me to be like, no, I need to get healthy, or I need this because I can't show up where I need to show up if I don't feel good about myself, or I feel like I need to lose weight, or I'm tired, like it's different for everyone. So I think quickly after I had her, she was probably 2 when I started working out. I'd never worked out ever. I mean, I had gym memberships, but I never worked out.
I'm notorious for that too.
But I found something that I loved, which is CrossFit. And the community behind it, they're very, very supportive community as a whole, like worldwide, they just are. And very just supportive. So I fell in love with not only the workout part of it, because I think it makes me mentally strong as well, not just physically strong. And I've done that since 2014. I mean, I've just made it a priority,
I think that's so important because like, I'm literally like, I have 11 and 3-year-old, and it's just lately, like recently, like within the last 12 months, I have realized that like, it's okay to not want to go and watch TV with your husband at night. Cause if you feel like it's a waste of time, then you're okay to go into your bedroom and read a book and have quiet times. Like I used to always have that guilt going like, oh, well, now that I'm not a mom and they're sleeping, I should probably play wife. Right. But like really, like truly, when do you have that time for yourself? Right. Like, I think that I've learned it's not just from a physical aspect, it's mental, it's physical, it's spiritual. Like there's so many different parts to, self-care. And one thing that I used to do, I started doing was like, I would pre-book all of my hair appointments. I would pre-book all of my massages and that kind of thing. And I would, treat myself to 1 massage a month and that kind of thing. And I just think that, most women probably don't think they deserve it. I don't really know what the mentality is. Like, I don't know what was my block up until a couple of years ago, but I just think it's so important that we take care of ourselves, because when we're our best versions of us, then we're setting such a great example for our children. And that's maybe one thing that I started thinking of, because I had my son first. He's 11, my daughter's 3. And I think of it differently now, because I'm thinking like her looking up to me as a mom. Obviously I care about my son looking up to me as a mom.
I know what you mean though. It's different.
But it's different. And I'm like, wow, I really should care. I really should practice what I preach, right? Like I'm going to tell her to love herself and love her body and all of those things. And here I am, the total opposite of what I'm going to preach. I don't feel good about all that stuff, right? So what do you feel like? Is it a combination of spirituality and mental and physical, or is there other things that you do that kind of help you be your best self?
Yeah. I do feel like the spiritual aspect is part of it for me, because I feel like we're constantly going to be torn down, and it may be unintentional from people. But I feel like the enemy wants us to not succeed or do the things that we feel called to do. And so I just have to remind myself, like, who does God say I am? That, and I wanted to share with you what I kind of did to like get my head right about this whole thing. I made a list. I guess this was at the beginning of 2021. I made a list of everything about myself that bothered me. Now, I'm not saying I hated it, because I don't believe in that, but I'm just saying what bothered me about myself. Was it, did I feel like I needed to lose weight? This is kind of funny, but I had an earring hole that was kind of ripping, and it was just there, like bothering me, but I didn't really, just things like that I'm like, I need to take care of this, because I don't think we realize how much mental weight those things are on our minds. Even if it's not at the forefront of your mind all the time, it's mental weight there and it's just bogging you down. And like, we need one more thing to keep us down, you know? So I made a list and I accomplished all those things. And I mean, it took me almost a year. And it wasn't anything like major, but, you know, it took me some time to like take care of those things or get it right or, you know, do this or fix that, whether it was like organize that closet. My goodness, like stop, you know, things like that.
Fascinating.
A lot better if you just get it done, you know?
Yeah.
Some time. And then what you were saying about being, you know, playing wife at night, I think, you know, it doesn't have to look a certain way.
Right.
Not every relationship is going to look the same. So you and your husband or your significant other, you decide what that looks like for you when you have those times, whether it's you time block some date nights or you know, time block 15 or 20 minutes at night, whatever that looks like. And then that way you don't feel the pressure of, you know, not getting that time at night, you know, when you have little ones, like you can't always like say, this is my morning routine.
Right.
And it never goes.
Yeah.
Just little, you know, they wake up and then your whole day is like not the way you planned and just, you know.
I'm always trying, like my best time to exercise is in the morning. It's really the only way I can get it done because I'm prepared. And then if I don't get it done in the morning, I'm like basically SOL because I'm like, I am too tired. I am not motivated. I am not interested. So like I've literally started getting up, like my husband gets up at like 4:30 for work. So depending on how tired I feel, I'm like, I have the Whoop and I have the Fitbit. So I'm always like, okay, let me check to see how much sleep I got and see if that's enough. Cause I've learned over the last year how important sleep is. And I didn't realize like
it's everything.
People are saying like this, like if you do anything like even over like exercise, like make sure you're getting enough sleep. Like it's super important, which I had no idea it was that imperative, but
it affects everything. It affects your ability to lose weight. It affects, you know, how you feel throughout the day, obviously, but yes, your sleep is attached to everything. So.
Right. So yeah, so I have to do it like first thing in the morning. And even if I hear Ava like rustling, I know that she gets super upset when she wakes up and I'm like nowhere to be found because my Peloton's down in the basement. So she has to go down 2 flights of stairs to find me, right? So if her brother's not home and he's at his dad's, she like has a freak out. So I'm always like, gotta get on like ASAP so that I can be upstairs when she wakes up. Yeah. There have been times too where she's woken up as I'm on the bike and I'm just like yelling upstairs, I'm on my bike, I'll be up in a minute. Right?
That's so good though. Can I tell you how good that is for your daughter to see you working out? Like it is so good. You know, my daughter, I just took her to the CrossFit gym with me. I mean, she grew up seeing me do that every day. And now she is so super active and that will always be, you know, it's a priority in our home. And so it's just good. It's such a good example that you're doing that.
It's funny too, because I think it was Saturday morning. I got up in the morning and I'd been on a streak. I mean, I was like 8 or 10 days or something straight. And then I was kind of like, I sort of want like a one break day kind of thing, like, right. Rest day. And my son's like, well, why don't you just go for a quick ride? And then, so he came downstairs when I was in the basement getting on the bike and he was like intrigued by it because he was like so focused on how it was like a class and he was like, wow, this is really cool. So like I only do 30 minutes. That's all I feel like I need right now. Yeah. And he was just like, I didn't actually think he would sit there and stand there engaged for 30 minutes, but he did. And he was like, hey, mommy, like he still calls me mommy. I hope he never stops doing that. He was like, you're I think I was like 212 out of 500 people. That's so good. And he's like, you should try harder, get under the 100 mark, like get under in the top 100. And
you need him every day, like coaching you.
Yeah, he was like coaching me, and it was so funny because he was like, oh man, you're sweaty. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sweaty. I'm like dying here right now. And I ended up having like the best workout I had ever done. And I was like, Wow, it's amazing how your children can motivate you, even like unknowingly, really, because it's not like
Yeah.
he was like, I'm going to go downstairs and push my mom to have her best ride, right?
Right.
But it's so cool to, yeah, to set an example for sure. I've had that Peloton for almost 2 years, and I just started riding on it in October.
Wow. That
So
is a fun workout, but yeah, I agree about the 30 minutes. Like
yeah.
it's intense.
Well, and that too, and like you only have so many hours in the day, right? So like
That's true.
I told myself the way I got myself on the bike was, okay, I know that I scroll at least 20 minutes a day. There's no reason why I can't get my ass on that bike.
So
Like,
good. So good.
yeah.
Yes. Absolutely. Yes.
So, obviously, I understand completely that what you're planning and your schedule can be thrown off 90% of the time, I feel like, as a mom. Do you schedule, I think I saw that you and Coach Burt, or you and Michael, have your date night weekends. Did you pre-planned
Okay, so
weekends?
here's what we did. I'm going to tell the whole story because it just was so cool the way it worked out. So when I had our daughter in August, and we already had this weekend planned in January, that was our first weekend without our kids or anyone. We're always working. We believe in working and in places that you love, and so a lot of times when we're working, it doesn't feel like we're working.
Yeah.
But we still need that rest away from everyone. So we had one weekend in January planned, and we went down and we spent 3 or 4 days with just he and I. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like we still like each other.
Yeah.
And we just got to be people. We didn't have to coach anybody or be a mom, or like we just got to be together. And it was just a great reminder of, just we need that time
Yeah.
away.
It's
So
always a good reminder.
yes. And so we sat down at one of our dinners and planned one weekend a month where we don't exactly know what it's going to look like. We may stay home and send our kids to our moms. We may go somewhere. We don't know, but we just have that time blocked already for the rest of the year, one weekend a month. So I'm already excited about like what all we're going to do,
I know, like I seen that and I was like, oh, that makes me jealous. I want to do that too. And like we go to this place called Golden Lake, and it's north of us, a few hours north, and they've got all of these little cottages, and they're all like themed little cottages. And when I say little, like some of them are like so little that my husband literally was in the shower and like he couldn't bend over without hitting his head. Like,
so it's like a real tiny house.
Yeah, it's so funny, but they're all so cute, and I think we've almost stayed at all of them now. So now we kind of each have our favorite
Fun.
Right? Like we don't make it a regular thing, but I think for sure that we need to like say, okay, we need to go here at least twice a year, and we should, stick to that. I think that's super important. To have that time, because you do feel like there's been several times, even very recently, where we've both said to each other, like, kind of feel like roommates. Like, right? Like, he snores, I snore apparently now. I don't know why. I started using these. Have you heard of the Super Patch? Have you heard of that? Oh, it's amazing. So they have like these REM patches, and so you stick it on before bed, and it literally has like exponentially changed my REM sleep. It's crazy.
I need that in my life.
I will send you some.
I have a 5-month-old. Like I need some REM sleep.
Yes. So apparently I snore now when I use these patches. So like generally, like we sometimes don't even sleep in the same room. Like very regularly, we don't sleep in the same room, and you almost think to yourself, like, is this normal? But the more people I talk to about it, they're like, oh, we do too. And I'm like, really? Okay, so it's not like super weird, but at the same time, you still want to have that.
Yeah.
But
well, I think too, going back to planning the time with your spouse, like your kids need to see that your marriage is more important than them. And I know that's freaks people out.
Mm-hmm.
But it is, because if you don't practice that, I mean, all day long, things are going to come at you. So like, you have to protect that, and you protect it by getting closer and bonded together, and so our kids need to see that it's important, because we're showing them what marriage looks like.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, thanks to you and Coach Burt, like back in March when we came out to Seaside and did your couples retreat, like literally like 3 days before, we were sitting at the table figuring out who was getting what, how we were going to deal with the kids. And like, I like it gives me goosebumps. I have goosebumps on my cheeks. Like, we were literally figuring out, like, how are we going to split everything?
What does this look like? Yeah.
And then obviously God had to play in this, I think. And he was just like, yep, I'm going to go and we'll do this. And when we were on the plane, he was like, so where are we staying? And he's a very big introvert, right? And I was like, we're staying in a house. And he's like, oh, just us? And I'm like, no. And he was like, are you kidding me? So he literally, like, half of the flight, he had to like mentally prepare himself for having to stay in a house with a whole bunch of strangers. He's very like that's not his thing. But the whole experience was transformational for him, really. And obviously what we learned in the couple of days that we were there was amazing. But even just, sharing the house with the other couples was like, definitely he was outside of his comfort zone. But I'm like, look, you're growing. Like, you don't grow unless you're uncomfortable.
That's right.
So yeah, that was.
Well, let me tell kind of where that started, and go into a little bit about that retreat. So part of our coaching program, my husband teaches, is called Monster Producer, and it's just all entrepreneurs of any kind of business you can think of. So I wrote a book in 2017 called Living with a Monster, and it is about how you live with a driven person and still thrive in your marriage. Because it is not easy when you are married to somebody that works all the time. I mean, notebooks to dinner, constantly like, hey, where you at? Where'd you go? But anyway, we bring couples together in Florida. So, and every part about that retreat is on purpose. Like, we rent houses, you stay with other couples. You do have your own bedroom and bathroom. So we're very, particular about you having your own privacy, but also being able to be around other couples so that you can hear their stories and how they make it work. And it's, it's all of us together trying to make it work. So that's what she's talking about, is the couples retreat that we have in Florida. We do about 6 a year. So
the thing about that too is it's so funny, because Tim actually read your book first and then I read it after. And he was like, I'm literally Natalie. Like, I am legitimately just like Natalie, even down to the hospitality part. Like, I have tried to get him to start his own restaurant, start his own barbecue, something, for so long. And that's the thing, like, what brings him joy is hospitality. He loves it. And he's not working in hospitality. And you can tell, because he's not, he's not thriving, and he's not, pursuing his dreams. And I don't even, to be honest, know if he knows what his dream is, but I know, and everybody that knows him knows, that he is the hospitality king. Like, he is so good at that stuff.
Yeah.
And he is, like, your personalities, it's scary how similar you are, because like, he's sensitive to how people feel and think, and he wants it to all be perfect. And like, it was so cool. But the other really nice thing about the retreat is you start to feel like you're not alone. Like, when you start to talk about the hard stuff and stuff that you're kind of maybe embarrassed to talk about or whatever, and it's like, okay, this couple's going through the same thing, or this couple's, dealing with the same thing. Because when we were at the retreat, when you and Coach Burt shared your experiences with how monster-like Michael is. And it's exactly us. I'm the workaholic. I'm the monster. He was always very insecure about like, why are you working at the kitchen table? Like, do you not care about me? Like, do you not love me?
It's personal.
Right. And it had nothing to do with me not loving or caring or whatever. And you guys really were able to shine a light on all of those little situations that, that would bother us both. And it really gave us clarity on those things. And I'm super grateful for that, because really it saved our marriage.
Well, and I want everyone to know it's not therapy. It's not like that. What we've done is we've created 6 structures that we work through to help you just get on the same page and like figure out like, what are we doing here? What's the purpose of our marriage? What's the purpose of our work? And where are we trying to go? And let's just get aligned. And it's such a good time. Plus you get a weekend away.
Yeah. I just had a thought, and this is just weird. And I actually just got done reading the Celestine Prophecy. Have you read that? Okay. Like, you have to. It's so good. I will send you the link for it, but it's amazing. Anyways, I'm having one of these moments, and I was just thinking, because you guys have done so many of those retreats, I wonder if you did like a annual like meetup, like either in person or Zoom or whatever, and like you just kind of like regroup.
Where are you now?
Right? Like,
where am I now?
Because I feel like
I love it.
The other day I was thinking to myself, like, I really should go through my notes again from there and just kind of like refresh and reset, right? So that would be a fun relationship reset or something. I don't know. That would be fun.
I'm going to make a note. That's a great idea. So
now that you have 3 little ones, how has that adjustment been?
So I will go back and just briefly talk about, we had our daughter, I was 30, and we went like 7 years without being able to get pregnant. It was just weird, Yeah. And, but we were busy. We were growing a business. I didn't stress about it. I was adamant that I was not taking infertility drugs because I had seen too many of my friends lose their mind.
Yes.
I'm like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
But so actually, my husband was coaching a medical office in Houston where they make personalized vitamins. And he promised my husband, he's like, get your wife in here. She will get pregnant. And I was like, whatever,
Yeah.
But I did go to get overall healthy and vitamins because I was taking a bunch of other stuff. And I think the thing about vitamins is, I'm just going to throw this in there. I was taking a lot of things because it sounded good, but I didn't really know like how much or if I needed it or whatever. So I was like, let me go to him and he can make me what I need,
Yep.
Because he said your body is made to have babies. Like that's the way your body was created. So you will get pregnant once we get your body, all the levels right. And sure enough, 9 months later, got pregnant.
Wow.
With my son. Now he's 2.5, and very hard starting over. If you're out there wondering what it's like to start over, it's very hard.
I think Ella Grace and your son are the same age gap between Jaden and Ava.
I was going to say it sounds like it from what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. 8 years-ish.
Yeah. But it was worth it. I mean, she always wanted a little sister. And so I thought when I got pregnant with him, I was like, it's a girl. I know it's a girl. Like we've been talking about a baby sister for years. And that was a really cool story, but, it was a boy, just exactly what we needed. Sweet and lovable and just laid back and just right up in the middle of the mix of monsters, I feel like, because I haven't told you this, but so Michael, Ella Grace, and Emmeline, which is the baby, they are all born and they're all Leos and they're born in the same week of August.
Oh, me and my daughter are both Leos and 2 days apart.
So you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So it's me and Eli against the world. That's what I feel like is going on in my house.
Leos love hard though.
I know. And they're great, but there needed to be some kind of offset in our house. So Anyway, I'm still figuring it out. I've never had 3 kids before. Like, it's just
I
something.
actually love the age gap
Yeah.
personally. Like Jaden is very maternal, and I don't know if it has anything to do with me being a single mom for a period of time when he was very little. But he is like such a loving, caring brother that like I couldn't even have imagined him being as good as he is. And so I knock on wood and hope that stays like that forever. They fight. It's so funny. I never thought they would ever fight. I'm like, age gap, they're never gonna fight. They fight. And I was like, how is this even possible?
Yeah.
But I am finding, so do you find one-on-one time with your kids is refreshing? Because I took Jaden to Las Vegas for EXPCon in October, and we hadn't had alone time, just him and I, really, since I'd met my husband. So, I mean, it'd been almost 7 years-ish. And it was like the most amazing trip. And I'm like, I feel like we need to like plan a trip every year, just you and I. Like, and then when Ava's a little bit bigger, and we'll do the same thing, or we'll just do local stuff for now. Like,
I did back in December, I planned a day with my oldest daughter to just go do like some Christmas things in Nashville. And I just had this whole day planned, and I didn't tell her what we were doing. It was just like on the calendar is like mom and EG day, like do not book. We got up and we went and we saw a show, and then we went shopping. We actually went to the mall 3 times that day. Because I'm just like, whatever, like I don't have a schedule. I don't have anything. Like, this is my priority today, is to spend time with you. And we got dressed up. We went to nice dinner. Like, they made her mocktails. It was so sweet and fun. And so we laughed. It was so cool because, I know that she's always wanted to be a big sister, but I mean, I got to think about what that feels like to her. Like, it was just her for 7 years.
Yeah.
And then now it's like all about everyone else. And so, yes, I need to make that more of a priority to do, once a quarter or something, Yeah. We had so much fun.
I took Ava to get her nails done at the salon a couple of weeks ago, and it was priceless because like she can't sit still for me to do her nails, and I thought, this is going to be a nightmare, but I was like, we were making it a thing. But she sat there and she didn't move a wink, and she cooperated she was so well behaved and just loved it, and it was good. And 3 days later, she'd picked all the nail polish off. But
I remember that. I remember it just like it was yesterday, taking Ella Grace.
Yeah.
Messing up her polish as we're getting in the car. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me right now.
Okay. So I don't really, I think we covered everything that I kind of wanted to talk about. Obviously, I think we've had an amazing conversation. I feel very blessed to know you and have learned from you and Coach Burt. I don't want to make this about Coach because this is about you, but he also has a new book coming out that I'm going to hopefully have him on and talk about. I actually just got the Amazon notification. It was like, your order delivery has been updated. So I know that it's
a lot of people are getting them early. So
what's that?
I said a lot of people are getting their books earlier than
yay.
So maybe you're about to get it.
Yeah.
So for those of you listening, it's called Flip the Switch, the new book, and it is about what the drive inside of you and how to activate that. We can all get motivated at times, but that doesn't stick if we can't motivate ourselves, if we're always relying on someone else to do it for us.
Right.
So the entire book is how to find what drives you and how to activate it yourself. So
yeah, I've read, I think, every other book that he has written, and they're all phenomenal. I am part of Monster Producer, and I have a couple of events that I need to book, actually. The writing, speaking, and
yes, love that one. I love that one.
I just got my success coaching certification, so I'm like super excited to kind of go into new territory with that.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm super excited about that. Okay, so one last question. So looking back, what advice would you give yourself as a new mom? It could be something that you know now that you didn't know then, or I mean, it doesn't have to necessarily be one thing, but what is something that you would say to yourself, the 30-year-old Natalie?
Your kids don't care if your house is dirty.
Yeah, that's true.
I care, and I struggle with this. This is why I'm saying it.
Yeah.
I struggle with visual mess. Like I just can't do it. So I have to constantly do cleaning and doing stuff. And, you know, I think just give yourself some grace, you know, because you know, it's not going to be perfect. It's going to be a little messy for a little bit, you know?
I had that sort of, I don't know what you would call it, revelation or something, a couple of months ago. And I was like, my house is like been under renovation for, I don't know, 2 years or something. And that bothers me. And, you know, I am one of those moms that's behind Ava cleaning up. Of course, Jaden's the most tidiest, neatest kid ever.
Awesome.
Ava is a monster. She is so messy. And I'm constantly like, I have anxiety. I go in her room and I'm like putting everything back where it needs to go. And I'm thinking like, I don't need to do this, but like it's driving.
I need to do this.
But I need to do this. But I've come to accept the fact that, you know, my house is not ever, I think, going to ever be perfect. Maybe when they move out, I don't know.
Until they're gone.
Yeah, until we have no animals. I don't have my father living here and I don't have my kids here. I don't think it's ever going to be what I envision to be my perfect house. Yeah. So I think that's something that a lot of women struggle with too, is just that, you know, they long to have this perfect world. And I'll tell you a quick story, actually. So the other day I was meeting with another agent for breakfast, and we were just talking very openly about being a mom and how, you know, nothing is perfect and how it's so hard. And, you know, like you have to ask for that support. Like I told her, like, don't ever be afraid to come to me when you need something, because as a new mom, you know, you feel very alone sometimes. And I said, sometimes you'll have these really crazy thoughts that make you think like you're a crazy person, but that's totally normal. Like you're not crazy or psychotic. And anyways, the conversation kind of went that way. And there was a woman that was sitting behind us eating solo. And she got up to leave, I thought. And she came back to us and she said, I just want to let you know that I've paid for your lunch today. And we were like, what? Again, I get goosebumps. And she's like, and then she starts to cry. And she's like, I am a new mom with a new baby at home. And this was the first time I was able to get out on my own. And she said, the things that you said really resonated with me, and just thank you. And I was like trying to get my card to give to her to say, reach out if you ever need support. And she literally like ran off. And I was like, who does that? They just pay for your lunch and run away. I was like, I would love to.
That's so awesome though, that she heard that, you know.
And I
never know. You never know what people are going through and what they need to hear, you know.
Yeah. And obviously it was meant to be. She was meant to sit there, and
absolutely
whatever it was, hopefully we inspired her in some way. And she was very thankful. And like, she brought me to tears because I was like, why are you crying? I'm like hoping that, you know, because it is hard and you do feel alone and you do sometimes not know what the hell to do.
You know, for some reason, I don't know where it comes from, but we feel like we can't talk about it, you know?
Yeah, I don't get that. And I think too, bringing light to those types of conversations is important, because you're not alone and you're not crazy. And there's probably many other moms, many other moms going through those, even just the thought process. Sometimes when you have those crazy thoughts that no mom ever talks about. And I remember telling one of my girlfriends, about it. And she was like, I've had those thoughts too. And I was like, really? Oh, I was like, okay, so I'm not crazy. She's like,
Yeah.
your mind will play really funky tricks on you when
Hey,
you are
this is
stressed.
going back to why sleep is so important.
Yes, when you need
lack
sleep.
of it, it
Yes.
makes you crazy.
Yes.
And I do remember when Emmy was first born, you know, within those first few weeks, I told someone, I'm like, there is a reason they use sleep deprivation as torture. Like, it is literal torture.
For sure. For
Yeah.
sure. Well, I am going to send you some of those patches to try because we don't just have the REM patches. There is like Peace, and there's the Ignite one, which I haven't really played around with. It helps you burn more calories, apparently.
I'm all about that.
And there's ones for pain, and yeah, no, it's cool. I'm going to send you a little care package in the mail. You'll have to send me your address, or I guess I have the lodge's address, but
Okay, that's fine.
yeah, so we'll do that. But thank you so much for coming on.
This was so fun.
Yeah, and I'll get you on again, and we'll do one on relationships, and we can chat about the retreat. That would be fun. Yeah, and we'll have to talk about the annual retreat.
Yeah.
I think that would be such a good idea.
That's a great idea.
And honestly, like, I met so many amazing couples there that now when I see them like at conventions and stuff, I'm like, hey, like you make amazing friends all across the world. It's amazing.
Cool.
But anyways, thanks, Natalie. I appreciate it.
You.
Bye.
Bye.